A word from the shadows.
How many of you folks have ever been on the New York City subway? Well, I've been on the subway. I lived in New York City for like 30 years. And let me tell you something. The whole place is full of a bunch of weirdo freaks. They get on the train. They panhandle. If you don't want to give them no money, they verbally attack you, threaten to physically attack you. The whole place. You go into the New York City subway now, there's homeless encampments inside the subway, homeless people everywhere. And I understand, man, people fall on hard times. But see, you got a difference between being homeless and in the struggle and being a dope fiend who's homeless. All right? Because you make a personal decision. At any given time, the future's not wrote. You don't have to stay a drug addict. Yeah, you might have to stay homeless because you're in the struggle, but, you know, a lot of people were homeless and now are not homeless anymore because they knuckled down and did what they had to do. Obviously, the government's not going to come to your aid. They're not going to come to your rescue because if they were, your ass wouldn't be homeless no more, all right? That's a personal responsibility. So I know you got a lot of people that are homeless because of no real fault of your own. But most of the people who are homeless, you're a wino, you're a dope fiend, a crackhead, or whatever. And as a result of that, you're homeless and you're mentally ill also. So, you know, you got people like Al Sharpton, that charlatan. He's a charlatan. The city, Al Sharpton, all these black leaders, they had 40 times to help this guy. He got arrested. That guy who, I don't know his name, but the guy who was assaulting people and somebody intervened and stopped him from doing what he was doing, he had been arrested 40 times for harassing people on the subway, starting fights, being argumentative, being combative, and doing all kind of criminal acts. And the city had 40 chances to help him. Al Sharpton and his coalition had 40 chances to help him. None of them never did shit. And one day, he got on the subway and started harassing people and started intimidating people. And somebody thought he was a real threat. And you know what? He won't be doing that no more. Okay? That problem's been eliminated. Now, unfortunately, if the guy would have got the help that he needed, he probably would have never did that. But I've been on the subway many, many times. Like, I was 2,000 or 3,000 times I've ridden the subway. And almost every time you get on the subway, you got some wacko, weirdo, loony getting on there making threats. And I ain't even going to say what they say. But they make threats, allegations, threaten to beat people up. If you don't give me some money, I'm going to beat the heck out of you, this and that next thing. And when you do that type of things, it's pretty much a certainty at some point somebody's going to take you serious and they're going to react. The reason why they didn't arrest the white guy, the former Marine, he didn't do nothing wrong under New York state law. New York state law is this: if we're in an open area and you attempt to assault me, I have an obligation to try to get away from the assault. That's my first course of action under New York state law. I have to try to get away from the assault, because if I can run away from the situation and eliminate the situation or de-escalate it, that solves the problem. But when you're in a subway car and you're going in between stations, you can't get off that car. You're there. You're locked in with whatever wacko, weirdo, mentally ill person is there. Just because somebody's mentally ill, that don't mean they ain't got a knife or a razor or a bottle or whatever they got that they can assault you with. So you're forced to deal with this until you get to the next stop. But what if that person is assaulting somebody? What if they try to assault you? No, I'm going to defend myself. And he used the amount of force necessary to stop the assault. Once the guy stopped struggling and stopped thrashing about and trying to assault other people, he stopped. They don't have a case in New York. He was within the law. I know the law within New York. I'm very familiar with it. He did what any reasonable person would do in that situation. And Al Sharpton and all them black leaders in New York, they're all a bunch of charlatans. They had 40 chances. He had 40 prior arrests. The city, the state, Al Sharpton, his coalition, all those other charlatan black leaders that love the camera but don't want to do nothing to actually fix the problem, had 40 chances to help this guy. And that's how many times he got busted. How many more times he did it and didn't get busted. But the cops arrested him 40 times for harassing people on the subway, threatening them. And I got a news flash for you. You threaten me on the subway, you're going to get punched in your face. That's what's going to happen. And you'll be lucky to get off with that. Because I'm not going to take the chance that you're going to threaten me and then follow up on it with an attack. I'm going to whoop you. That's what I'm going to do. You threaten me, you better get ready to get punched in the face. That's what's going to happen. And win, lose, or draw, I'm going for mine. And that kid did the right thing. It's unfortunate it happened. But it wouldn't have happened if those charlatan black leaders in New York would have did the right thing when they had the opportunity to do the right thing. Instead, they're charlatans for a camera. They're race baiters. They're the biggest racists around. You know what? I got no respect for none of them because they're all talk and no action. And that's just pathetic. It's sad. And you're trying to use this white kid for an scapegoat. Well, I would tell you something, man. White people are getting tired of it. We're getting tired of being your scapegoats. I'm not your scapegoat. Okay? That ain't gonna fly no more. That dog don't hunt. We're getting tired of it. Okay? You are responsible for your own actions. When I went to jail, I was a man. I didn't tell on nobody like that little creep 6'9". I held it down. I held it down every day I was in there. I did 14 years in New York State Prison, and I held it down like a man, even if I had to do it on my own. And when I did 10 years in the feds, right after that, I didn't tell on nobody. I did my time, I did the crime, and I did the time like a man. Okay? Stop being a little crybaby. You're an American. You got plenty of black doctors, lawyers, judges, all kind of things because they applied themselves. They weren't little crybabies. Okay? Because you're a failure, you're a loser, it's everybody else's fault. Be a man or a woman. Be a real man. Don't be a crybaby always complaining about this and that and next thing. Do something about it. You know what? If you don't know how to read, go back to school. If you don't know how to do no job, go get some training. But it's not nobody else's responsibility to help you if you're not willing to help yourself. And even if you do help yourself, it still's nobody else's responsibility to help you. But you'll be a lot You would definitely have a much better chance of someone helping you if you help yourself. AOC, she's a total loser. Got no respect for her, got no respect for the people who voted her in office. She went there on the platform of fighting against Nancy Pelosi. And now she's in bed with Nancy Pelosi. Her best idea is, hey, let's ban gas stoves. That's her best idea. You know, let me tell you something about climate change, AOC. When that first nuclear bomb goes off, it's going to speed climate change up for about 1 million years. Okay? Talk about melting ice caps. You ever seen what a atomic bomb will do to concrete? It'll melt concrete. So if it'll melt concrete, you can pretty much bet your bottom dollar it'll melt the polar ice caps. All right? A lot faster than me using a gas stove. You're a moron. You should have never got elected to Congress. You're a complete moronic idiot. Same thing with Nancy Pelosi. Look at her city. San Francisco. It used to be a great American city. Now it's a cesspool of filth and scum. And I hate to say it, as much as I have huge love for New York, it's turning into the same thing. Everybody's leaving. Most people with upwardly mobile people that are about taking care of business will have exited New York City in the next 5 years. The only people that'll be there still, the only people that'll be in New York City still are people who can't leave for whatever reason and the scumbags, all right? Now listen, I've made my mistakes, but I didn't whine and cry about it. I did my time like a man. I ain't running from nobody, never told on nobody. Always kept it 100% real. I've stood on my own many times against overwhelming odds, okay? I did something about it. I got out of prison. I didn't commit any more crimes. I got married. I got a job. I got married. I started doing the right thing. That's the reason why I'm here in front of this camera talking to you now instead of being locked down like a dog. Because I stopped committing crimes. That was a personal choice. I stopped doing drugs. That was a personal choice. That's the reason why I'm not in a prison cell anymore. I'm a free man, and I can talk to you like this on camera. It's a personal choice. You make a personal choice to smoke crack and then hang out in the subways and become mentally ill. Sooner or later, somebody's going to send you on up to meet Jesus. Because people are getting tired of this perpetual nonsense, woke, perpetual nonsense. And let me ask you another question. Where's the leaders of Black Lives Matter? You know where they are? They're in their mansions that the government gave them. They accepted title and estate, just like the kings used to do back in England, where if you stand down, you put your arm, you got a big army, but they got no leadership. So you're the leadership. I'll give you title and estate. Stop this. And that's what they did. I ain't heard nothing out of them in what, a year or two? Completely useless and worthless too. It's just a sad, sad, sad state of affairs. Anheuser-Busch, the parent company of Bud Light, Budweiser, and several other what used to be popular brands, if they were smart, they would go ahead and start preparing for bankruptcy right now. Let me explain something to you. About 150 million people, maybe 175 million people in this country identify as being rednecks. That's right, folks, rednecks. And you know how you could immediately gain acceptance into this redneck community? You could show up at any party, whether if it was a biker party, a redneck bar, down on the river, wherever, with a case of Budweiser or Bud Light and 2 packs of Marlboros, maybe a can of dip, Skoal or Copenhagen, and you were automatically welcome, because like, hey, you brought a drink of choice for like everybody here, because we're all just white guys or white gals going through our day, living our lives, and we enjoy a cold brew every once in a while. And for decades and decades and decades, Budweiser, Bud Light, Anheuser-Busch, the parent company, had that market sewed up. They had a little competition from Miller and Michelob and Coors, but a Budweiser was the drink of choice for that community. Everybody knew it. Now, gay people, they, for the most part, obviously not exclusively, they drink craft beer. They don't drink Bud Light, okay? And they're really about what, 4 or 5% of the population, and that's a very liberal estimate. Now they're a noisy bunch, but trannies, what are they? Transvestites, or however they identify. What are they? 1 or 2% of the population? What does that equate to in numbers? Like 2 or 3 million people? Maybe 4 million people? Well, you went against 175 million people that buy your product every day to appease this woke ideology. And it backfired directly in your face. And your brand will never, ever again have that market share. It's done for you. No self-respecting redneck. And like I said, there may be 200 million of us. And redneck is a very broad spectrum. It doesn't mean, you're some racist creep or some homophobe creep. What it means is I'm a hard-working real man. And my wife is a hard-working real woman. And when we do drink beer, we like to identify with a beer that brings our values and morals into play. So, I smoke Marlboros, and I used to drink Budweiser when I did drink. I would never order another Budweiser, Bud Light, or any Anheuser-Busch product. It's not because I don't like gay people. I got nothing against gay people. And Anheuser-Busch, Bud Light definitely has a right to their point of view. But see, you just alienated people, and you're never going to get that market share back. It's done. The whole thing is go woke, get woke, go broke. Look what's happening in Hollywood. Can't you dummies figure it out? These people don't have the numbers to support your product. Whether if you're selling a movie, whether if you're selling a product, a beer, a pack of cigarettes, a can of dip, a fishing rod, anything. They just don't have the numbers to support millions and millions of units of sale. They don't have it. And again, they drink craft beer anyway. They're not drinking your product. They hired these people because they got these college degrees. They're supposed to be really smart and sophisticated. But what happened was they started believing a lie. They started believing hype. Same way with the U.S. Navy. You got a transvestite doing recruiting commercials for you, man. Are you out of your mind? Nobody's going to go in. You was having real problems recruiting before. Because you know what you do in the Navy? This is what you do. You clean and paint the ship. That's the reason why they had a recruiting problem. Because people go into the Navy, they stay in there one tour, maybe two, for their VA benefits or whatever their motivation was to join the Navy. And they realize they spent 90% of their time sweeping and mopping the ship and painting the ship. There's no action there. It's not fun. You're out in the middle of the ocean painting a ship all day. That's what you do in the Navy. So, Russia took the approach, be a man, join the armed forces, have some adventure and defend your country. What did the U.S. Navy do? In spite of the declining numbers, they can't get people to volunteer. Did they take that approach? No. They put a transvestite up there as their spokesman or a cross-dresser, whatever their acronym is. I don't know their acronym, and I have no intentions of ever learning it. Not that I have nothing against them. Live your life, man. That's your life. That's your one life. But see, unlike the president, who has an obligation to keep things cool in the country and try to unite, I'm a private citizen. I don't have that same obligation. I can tell you what I really think. I think God made all of us, and I think everybody has a right to live their life, and they have a right to free speech. I have a right to free speech too. Okay? And I don't depend on YouTube as a source of my revenue. I have a real job. I'm a real man. I go out and get it done. Okay? So I have a God-given right to live my life too. And where you and I are going to bump horns is when you try to not only live your life, but to make me live your life too. Okay? And that's just all there is to it. Anheuser-Busch, prepare for bankruptcy now. It's over for you. You'll never get that market share back, and it's going to continue to decline. Nobody's going to go into the Navy. Hey, Bob. Hey, John, he joined the Navy. Nobody wants to be stuck with that stereotype unless you're a transvestite. Hey, maybe they'll join the Navy. What, 10 of them? Like I said, they're 3-4%, maybe 2% of the whole U.S. population are transvestites. You have a 200 million plus hard-working Americans that a lot of people would consider rednecks that would have bought your product or would have joined the armed forces if you did the correct marketing campaign. But every time you have a chance to get a home run, the woke community fumbles the ball. You fumble it, outright fumble it, you know. And it's just really sad, and it's pretty pathetic, really. And last but not least, I'm going to give a shout out right now to YouTube. I did an experiment. I was producing a lot of content. Maybe every 2 or 3 days I would do a YouTube video. Basically a word from the shadows, very similar to what I'm doing now. And, you know, I was struggling to get 20 or 30 views, and I was like, man, either you really suck, or YouTube isn't doing a very good job of promoting your product. So I did a couple of songs a week and a half, 2 weeks ago on this program, and it took me 3 or 4 days to get 30 views. So I did an experiment, right? I went over to TikTok, and over there I operate under Killed by Death, XXX, 3 X's, Killed by Death, XXX. And I put the same song up, and within 24 hours I had like over 1,500 hits. All right? So it's not the song, and it's not me. YouTube wants you to produce 30 or 40 or 50 videos before they give you any airtime. You know, I don't know what's going on with their algorithm or what's going on with them. But I am actively exploring other avenues. Okay, what I do like about YouTube is very easy to upload a video, to edit it and upload it to their platform. And then you can monitor it. You don't really have that same freedom that I've found with Instagram. I really don't use Patreon a lot or Riddick, you know. And TikTok, I don't use it a lot neither because it's not Android friendly. All my devices are Android. It's like very friendly to iPhones, but it's not very friendly to Android. And a lot of times I've got probably 8 or 10 videos over there of different varying little short topics. But I had to try 8 or 10, 5 to 10 times on each video I uploaded. And it's too much of a pain. It's just too much of a pain. So I don't really do it. YouTube is very Android friendly. You probably iPhone friendly too. And it's easy to upload the videos. But they don't want to put you on people's home screens. They don't want to even give people a chance to click on you. Okay? Now, if you get rejected, you just got to deal with that. But when people aren't given the opportunity to view your material, that means you're not being given a fair chance. And I'm going to tell YouTube something right now. As soon as another creator comes along and they say, hey, let's do a maximum of a 10-minute video. It's going to be very user-friendly like YouTube is. And we're going to have a page that is YouTube-like, where you can go and watch these long-form videos, and we'll have still like a TikTok type of page. That will explode. I don't know why nobody's thought of it yet. I don't do YouTube Shorts because I can't say nothing in 60 seconds. Complete waste of time. And like I said, I got a real job. I'm a real man. I don't need this YouTube channel. I really do it because I got some things I want to say. I don't need this YouTube channel to make money. Let me phrase it that way. I have other sources of money, like I actually work. I'm a real man, okay? I don't have an acronym. My name is Mick, all right? Yeah, but as soon as something better comes along YouTube, I'm out of here, man. If you don't start flashing my material across people's home screen where I can have a fair chance to either be accepted or rejected. I can live with rejection. But I know you're not putting my product out there. It took me 3 or 4 days to get 30 views with the same song that I got over 1,500 views for on YouTube. And if you don't believe me, check it out yourself. You don't have to take my word for it. Go to TikTok and look up Killed by Death XXX. And then you review my catalog on here, you'll see that I put the same song up. And I think I got 30 views, maybe not even 30 views. So it's not a matter of the material that I'm putting out. What it is a matter of, if you're not one of YouTube's golden boys, you know, and in today's busy society, man, I don't have I've got time to wait on you, YouTube. I'm not going to try to produce 100 videos before you decide to start flashing me across people's home screens. I go on YouTube all the time. I see things flashing across my home screen that I have never watched that kind of material one time, and you flash it across my home screen. I don't click on it. A couple I have, but most of it I don't click on. So don't say you feed people what they want exclusively, because I see all kind of crap flashing across my home screen that I've never watched this kind of material ever. Period. And with that, folks, I got one more thing to say. If you can't be good, you sure better be good at it. And another thing, you know, when, you know, I was struggling to get views on YouTube and whatnot, I, you know, went and looked at a lot of how-to videos, how to maximize my views and clicks and whatnot. And what I realized, you know, everything, you know, they all instructed me to do this type of thumbnail and this type of title. And I'm not going to say some of that stuff don't have relative. You know, it's not relevant. But this is what I am going to say. Let's say I play in a rockabilly band, okay? And I go and talk to a PR guy, right? A public relations specialist. And he tells me, well, you know, punk rock and rockabilly, it ain't really selling like it used to. So what I recommend is that you become a K-pop band, and, you know, then you'll get a lot more views. See, it ain't the way I operate. One thing I can guarantee you this right here. If you tune into my channel, you're going to get it real, okay? I'm not doing all this, taking 5 hours to do a thumbnail and all that. Like I said, I'll take maybe 30 minutes or an hour to hook one up. I spent 100 hours on my back getting it tattooed by a mighty Apache warrior when I was in the federal penitentiary. That's my thumbnail. If you don't like it, hey, that's your problem, not mine. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not going to make this channel into something that I never wanted it to be to get a few more views. It's not going to happen. I know that I'll get tens of thousands of views if YouTube would do the right thing and flash me across people's home screens. They're not doing it. I know that for a fact. Because if they were, I'd be getting more views. So, you know, I'm not going to compromise. I'm not going to turn into the equivalent of like a punk rock band and become a K-pop band to get more views. I don't make K-pop music. I'll never make K-pop music, and it just ain't gonna happen. There's nothing wrong with K-pop if that's what you like, but it ain't what I do here. You know, what you see is what you get. And so, hey, you know, I'm not gonna say I didn't learn nothing useful off these how to maximize your views and whatnot, but for the most part, it don't apply to me. So that's just what it is. And until next time, guys, have a good one.